All right, what up everybody? Custom RC Lars right here with another video tutorial. In this video, we're gonna be showing you guys how to install our Y-Link high lockup kit for the rear. We're gonna show you guys step by step how to get you guys on the bumper. So these Y-Link kits are basically universal. They do fit 59 to 65, all the Impala chassis. So follow along and we'll show you guys how to get these parts installed. Check it out. All right, so first things first, we're gonna go ahead and remove the body from the chassis. Okay, so right here we do have a gold show kit, very stock. Everything's still pretty much stock on here. This is the platform that we're gonna get started with. As I stated before, this chassis is basically the same on 59 through 65 Red Cat RC lowriders. So all these parts are basically identical as well as the chassis. So if you have a 63 or 59, 65, whatever you got, this is all the same shit. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and remove all the rear suspension parts and get them out of the way. Strip everything down so we can have a nice clean start. All right, so I'm gonna be using a 1.5 hex driver bit to remove the drive shaft. Okay, you got a screw here. We just yank it back and slide it out of the slots right here. Okay, set that to the side. Make sure you don't lose the pin that comes out of the axle shaft. Okay, you don't want to lose that, so I throw everything in the wheel and set it to the side. All right, just as easy as that, we got the axle and all the links removed. So now we're gonna go ahead and get it and bust out the Y-Link kit. We'll get it out of the packaging and we'll get it ready to install on the axle. All right, so we got the Y-Link out of the packaging. Check out the detail, the chrome, the finish on these came out amazing. Our newest batch is highly polished out. Okay, nice show quality. Even the rod ends have a nice chrome finish. Okay, the Y-Link as well. I'm already getting fingerprints all over it. Check out the mounts, fully chromed out, nice show quality finish. And of course, this does come with all the hardware. Check out the lower links up close. Man, and these are available in all chrome, all gold, engraved or non-engraved. Okay, so the engraving options are available. Check out the Y-Link mount, fully chromed out with all the hardware already included. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and get our Y-Link installed to the axle, attached to the axle. One thing that I recommend that you guys know about this, okay, right off the bat, you're gonna see that these rod ends are a little bit wider than the mounts on the axle, and that's done by design. Okay, that's done on purpose. Let me show you guys how to get this Y-Link installed. It's very simple, so just follow along. First things first, we'll get the hardware out of the bag. Okay, all the screws are provided. We'll get the first screw through the rod end and go in a few turns into the mount. Okay, and then we're gonna get our other screw. We're not tightening it down. We're not tightening down these screws yet. First, we're gonna get them started on both sides, so that way we could lock in the position. Okay. All right, once we get this one lined up, then we could go ahead and run this screw all the way through. And as you can see, like I stated before, we are creating the tension in this Y bone area. And now we can go ahead and finish off. Now we go ahead and finish off this side. Get it all the way all the way in there. All right, so that's the first step. So on these cars right here, you want to make sure that this side right here is basically facing the chassis. Okay, this is basically the bottom of the axle is facing the chassis right there like that. Okay, next step is we are going to mount the Y-Link mount to the chassis. So this installs pretty easily. All Impala chassis have these two holes already pre-drilled in there. One thing I want to let you guys know, you are going to have to back these screws out, because those holes, that's what those holes are for. They go straight through to those screws on the other side right there. So go ahead and back these out to make sure that they don't interfere, they don't run into each other on the other side. All right, so for these screws, we are going to be using a 2.0 hex driver for these screws right here. All right, we're just going to go ahead and set it on there and just drill or screw these right on there. They are self-tapping. You just gotta get one side started like we did before on the axle. Get one side started first, then the second screw we just go all the way through, nice and snug. You don't need to over tighten these because this is plastic, okay, and they will strip out if you over tighten them. So just nice and snug, and that's all you got to do right there. All right, now that we got our Y-Link mount installed, we'll go ahead and get our Y-Link facing. Make sure these brackets are facing towards the chassis, and we line up this rod end into the Y-Link mount. Okay, one thing I want to recommend is that this rod end right here not be super tight. Okay, you don't want to have it super tight. You want to tighten it all the way and then come off one rotation. Okay, leave it one rotation off, and that way this is going to basically serve as a pivot point for when it comes time to three-wheeling, and you know what I'm saying, and doing all the side-to-side motion. Okay, because if this rod end is super tight, it's going to have basically you're going to have a harder time you know, doing those side-to-side motions, especially the three-wheeling. So once we line up the rod end, feed through the little screw, we do have a lockdown nut. I'm going to install the lock nut onto the go ahead and tighten that down a little bit, and we are good to go. The Y-Link part of the Y-Link kit has been installed. Now we're going to go ahead and run our lower links and position the correct pinion angle. Okay, check it out. All right, so we're going to get our first lower link and position it. We could do a lot of different things in this area. Okay, so we could use it. We could run it in the stock location, or we could run it on the outside to create more of a V shape. Lockup, you know what I mean? So you could run it over here. You could run it in multiple different locations. But for now, just to keep it simple, we'll just run it in the stock location right here. So that way we don't confuse you guys too much. We'll just keep it right in there. All right, fellas, check it out. We'll line it up there and we'll run the screw straight in there. And that's basically the beauty of our Y-Link kit, is that this is completely customizable. Okay, like I said, you could run it in the factory location, or you could run it on the outside of the mount. On this side, just run a longer screw all the way through, or you could run it if you wanted more of a V shape right there. If you wanted more like that, you know what I'm saying, you could run it on this side right here, where the shock mounts are at, and then run the shock on the inside. You just are gonna have to find the correct length of screw to run in that area. But for now, like I said, we'll just keep it simple. We'll keep it basic. I'll show you guys in another video how you could customize or basically adjust the links in a lot of different ways, a lot of different configurations, and it's all basically just for looks, because at the end of the day, they're going to basically be doing the same thing. They're going to be locking up the rear end nice and high, or at least higher than the stock. Okay, so let's run this screw in here, and then we'll move on to the mounts. All right, so up next, we're gonna go ahead and get our lower link mount installed, attached to the lower link. We're just gonna go ahead and feed the screw to the link mount like so. We're gonna snug this down for now, because right now what we gotta do is basically figure out the position, okay? The position of where to mount this at, okay? So like I said, this Y-Link kit is completely customizable. It doesn't mount just one way. It can be mounted a lot of different configurations, okay? And normally what I do is I go right off of this line right here on the chassis. You want to put this mount right here, right on the edge of that, and that's a good guide to start with, to basically align the lower links so that they're even on both sides, okay? Because obviously if this is lower and then this is higher, you're gonna have uneven axle, and you're gonna have issues with binding issues, and it's not just gonna be squared out. So like I said, I usually use this body line on the chassis to mount the lower link mounts right up against that on both sides, and that will give me a nice even mount. Okay, so like I said, we could mount it right here and just call it a day, and then yeah, I mean, that's gonna give us the links to look nice. Basically the links are gonna be straightened out, you know what I mean? So that's cool and everything, but on this one I think we're gonna do something a little bit different. Like I said, we can do different configurations. I think we're gonna spread out the lower links and mount them more this way. You see the angle that we have over here? I think that'll be a good stopping point, or you know what I'm saying, mounting point that we can meet up on both sides, and that would give us a nice reverse V shape. So we got the V shape on the upper link right here, and now we got another reverse V shape on the lower links. So by mounting the lower links like this is basically going to give us a lot more stabilization on the axle. Okay, we're going to have the mounts a little bit further apart on this end, so when the axle lifts up, we're not going to have that much swaying going on the axle, because we now have a wider range mounting location. Usually when the links are mounted straight across, you tend to get a lot of swaying side to side. So usually when you spread out the links like this in a V-shaped form, if you pay attention to real car hoppers, they do have you know, the lower links spread out like that, whether it's the V shape on this side or the other side. So I think on this car right here, we're gonna go ahead and mount the lower links right in this area, right along this slanted edge right there on both sides, to kind of give us a reverse V action. So we have a V going this way and a V going inside of here. So that's going to stabilize the rear end real nice and solid, and keep the rear end from swaying side to side. All right, so now that we decided on a mounting location, we're going to go ahead and remove the mount. Okay, like I said, that's why we hand tight this screw right here, because we were just basically positioning it temporarily so we could see exactly where the mount was going to go at. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and place the mount in this angle right in here, right in that corner right there. We're going to put the angle, the edge of that right into that corner right in there. So we'll hold it down. Okay, so we're going to be using a 1/16 inch drill bit to drill our pilot hole. Okay, so now that we got our pilot hole drilled out, we'll go ahead and get one of the screws in there. We'll go ahead and strap that down. So we're doing this by hand. I don't recommend you using a drill, because we are basically self-tapping into the chassis, into the plastic. And obviously with a drill, you are more likely to strip out the thread when you are using a drill. So we'll keep it hand tight right there. Okay, now that we got one of the screws in there and we got the bracket locked down, we'll go ahead and drill our next pilot hole. Okay, so that we could finalize and secure the next screw in on the chassis. Same thing, we'll go ahead and run our screw in there. All right, so now we go ahead and position the lower link and strap it down. Nice and snug. And we got our one side ready to go. As you can see, we're gonna go ahead and do the same with the other side right here. And we'll basically follow the same process on the opposite side. All right, so there we go. We got the rear high lockup Y-Link kit strapped down, nice and aggressive. Y-Links basically are nice and spread out, no swaying. Look at that shit. No swaying on the axle at all. So that we got perfect stabilization, okay, on the lower and the upper links. Okay, I'm trying to basically move it side to side, and I got basically zero side to side swaying. I'm moving the entire chassis. Okay, so we got everything nice and going. We got a lot of articulation. We got plenty of articulation for that 3-wheel. As you can see here, plenty of clearance, no rubbing issues in, you know, within the frame area or even on with the exhaust. Everything clears. Plenty of clearance on every angle, even on the exhaust right here and over here. So we're good to go. Next step is going to be connecting the drive shaft. Okay, and we'll keep it pushing. All right, now that we have our Y-Link installed, looking good. Man, this chrome looks crazy clean on there, man. That golden chrome combo is just setting this shit off. But yeah, so now we're ready to move on to the next step, and we'll go ahead and get our limited slip drive shaft connected. Okay, let's get this out of the packaging.